Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. I am Abdul Rahman Rashid Al Farazal. Tonight, top story is the wave of protest and unrest in Indonesia. Across the country, thousands of citizens have taken to the street. The trigger was a public anger over generous allowance for lawmakers. But very quickly, the demonstration grew into something much larger. We have seen deadly clashes between protest and security forces. We have seen local parliament buildings known as DPRD offices set on fire. We have even seen the private home of lawmaker Ahmad Sahroni ransacked and looted. And we have witnessed the tragic death of a young delivery driver, killed when he was run over by an armored police vehicle. This is more than a protest about perks. It is a crisis that touches on the economy, politics, and trust in governments. The unrest began in late August. News broke that members of parliament were receiving extremely high housing allowance, 50 million rupiah each month, far more than minimum wage in Jakarta. For ordinary citizens, this is a shocking contrast. While they struggled with rising prices, lawmakers appeared to be living in luxury. This sparked outrage. Students, workers, and activists organized demonstrations. At first, the gatherings were peaceful. People carried banners demanding fairness. They called lawmakers to cut their allowance and focus on public needs. But the frustration had been building for a long time. The cost of living in Indonesia has risen sharply. Many young people cannot find stable jobs. Delivery drivers and rideshare workers face long hours and low pay. So when news of allowance spread, the anger quickly spilled onto onto the street. The death of the delivery driver. The turning point came on August 28 during a protest near the National Parliament. An armored police vehicle drove into a crowd. A 21-year-old delivery driver named Afan Kurniawan was struck and killed. The incident was filmed on video and shared widely online. For many Indonesians, Afan represented ordinary worker. He was young, he was the part of gig economy, and he was struggling to make a living. His death became a symbol of justice. Almost immediately, the protest grew larger and more intense. Chants of justice for Afan appeared across the country. Candlelight vigils were held, and anger toward the police increased dramatically, spread across country. From Jakarta, the unrest spread outward. Cities such as Bandung, Makassar, and Yogyakarta saw demonstration. Even smaller towns experienced gathering of angry citizens. In some areas, crowds stormed the local council building. The DPRD windows were smashed, documents were burned, and several places entire buildings were set on fire. This fire caused chaos. Some government staff were trapped inside. At least a few deaths and many injuries was reported. Image of smoking rising from DPRD office spread across social media. The message was clear. Protesters were not only angry at national parliament in Jakarta, they were angry at lawmakers at every level. Attack on politician home. The anger even reached the private home of politicians. On high-profile case involved of Ahmad Sahroni, a lawmaker in North Jakarta. His house was stormed by crowds. Luxury cars were damaged. The items inside the house were stolen. Video of the looting circulated widely. Police later recovered some property. Investigations are ongoing. But the event shocked many people. It showed how personal the anger had become. Politicians were not protest in parliament. They were triggered in their own neighborhood. Human cost. The protests have left a heavy toll. At least people have died nationwide. Hundreds more have been injured. Hospitals in Jakarta and other cities are crowded with victims. Thousands of protesters have been arrested. Right groups say many were detained without due process. Some say the police used tear gas, water cannons, and excessive force. For families, the cost is personal. Afan family is grieving. Other families mourn loved one lost in fire. The nation is shocked. Government response. How the government reacted? First, Parliament announced that some allowances will be cut or reviewed. This wasn't meant to calm public anger. Second, President Prabowo Subianto resumed his cabinet. He replaced key ministers, including the finance minister. The move was seen as a signal change. Third, security was tight. Police and military were deployed in large number. Checkpoints were set up around key buildings, but many fear that a heavy-handed approach could make things worse. The government also promised investigation. Officially say that will examine the death of Afan and fires regionals and parliaments, but trust between the public and authorities remains low. Economy background. To understand the protest, we must look at the economy. Indonesia has faced rising inflation. Food prices and fuel prices have gone up. The minimum wage does not keep pace with living costs. Many young people are unemployed or underemployed. Deliveries driver, ride shares worker, and gig workers feel left behind. They often just enough to survive, but not enough to save. So when they hear about lawmakers receiving tens of million rupiah every month, they feel betrayed. The protests are not just about perks, they're about fairness, dignity, and survival. These protests raise big political questions. Can Indonesia democracy handle this level of anger? Will lawmakers listen to citizens, or will the gap between elites and ordinary people grow wider? Some observers worry about the expanding role of the military. Troops are increasingly invisible in civilian area. Critics warn this could undermine democratic freedoms. Others see opportunity the protests might force reform. They might push politicians to cut first, fight corruption, and focus on public needs. But change will not come easily. The world is watching Indonesia. That's the international reaction is the fourth most population country in the world. It's a key demonstration in Southeast Asia. Foreign government and right groups have expressed concern. They are calling for restraint. They are arguing investigation into that and injuries. At the same time, investors worry about economy stability through large unrest could affect makes and trade. Indonesia's reputation as stable democracy is at stake. Looking ahead, so what comes next? The government has taken the first step, cutting allowance, reserving minister, and promising investigation. But many processors say these actions are not enough. They demand deeper reforms. They want fairness in the economy. They want accountability in government. They want justice for victims like Afan Kurniawan. The coming weeks will be critical. Will the government listen and reform, or will anger continue to boil over? One thing is clear: the unrest is a warning that citizens are watching, and a warning that trust must be rebuilt. I'm Abdurrahman Rashid Alfarazal. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe, stay informed. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.